Hello, welcome to Century Farmhouse. Welcome to Century Farmhouse Kitchen. And today I'd like to show you how to make pretty baubles that you can use. And these are actually ball baubles, but they are stars. Christmas stars, paper stars that can be used now, of course, at the holidays, but also to decorate for parties and other celebrations. So let's get started. Let me show you what we're going to do. You need very little in the way of materials to make these. You need paper, and I'm using simple wrapping paper. This wrapping paper actually works the best, I think. If you have heavier paper, like a scrapbooking, lightweight cardstock, it's almost too heavy, especially for larger stars. So this paper works the best, although a lightweight cardstock will work as well. You'll also need to have a scissors. You'll need string, glue, a ruler, of course, to measure, but you only need that really at the very beginning. And then if you want to use hole punches to do some decoration cutting on your star later on, you can use those. Tape will just help you put the string in place at the end. And I like to use clothespins to help hold the star together as we're gluing it, especially a shiny metallic paper such as this silver paper I'm using today can sometimes not glue together well. It takes a little bit of time for the tackiness of the glue to hold the paper together, and so these clothespins work very well for helping that along. Okay, so the biggest thing when cutting your paper is the rule of thumb is twice as long as it is wide. So this is 7 inches by 14 inches. 2 times the width is the length, okay? And we're going to put the shiny side or the pretty side down when we start. Now I'm going to be doing some accordion folding, but before I start that, and I always forget this part, is I'm going to fold it in half the long way first. And get a nice strong fold in the center. This will help us keep things centered and lined up as we go, and also help us figure out where to put the string at the end. Now I'm going to start with an accordion fold. I would like bigger fold on this. Sometimes a tiny fold works very nice. You get lots and lots and lots of little pleats around, but the longer the piece, the bigger the star, the wider the piece, the nicer it is to have it be a little bit bigger, and it just has a lot more glow factor, if you will. Now I'm very carefully lining up the pleats, the folds, and this center line right here, trying to line that up so that it stays pretty much manageable and stays in line so that we have fewer problems at the end when we're finished. All right, I'm going to keep doing this. Just pretend that I have fast forward on this. So just do this quickly. Almost done. Eyeballing that center line as I fold this. Almost there. Now, the biggest thing is that we're going to need to finish this in the same way that we started. And by that, I mean we have the top pretty edge up, finishing this way. This is the back. We want to have this pointing toward the back. We want this to do the same thing. Sometimes you end up with a little more or less paper and you have to adjust by trimming, sometimes a lot, sometimes a little bit, to get it so that it is the same on both sides with it open to the back. I'm going to trim this along the way, taking care not to cut on those folds that I've done. There we go. This can go out of the way. We don't need the scissors anymore right now. Now, that fold we did in the center, we're going to fold both ways, just to kind of set that fold, if you will. All right, now I would like to trim this. You could leave the edges just as they are, nice and flat. You can round them if you want to. I'm going to cut them more star-shaped with a point, and this is too much to go through. So I'm just going to go between some of the folds and cut to a point, and then I will use this as my template to cut the rest. Okay, see how I did that? Now, I'm not going to go down here and turn it over and just do, let's see, how would I do that? Turn it over this way and do it, because then what's going to happen is I'm going to have the point to the back. I want to make sure the point is coming from the front. So be careful that you always, if you're right-handed, always have the back part to the right when you're cutting. If you're left-handed, of course, the opposite. I'm going to go between folds, cut right to that point, use this as my template, cut that nice, and if I have to trim something underneath, we'll do that. Okay, so I also want to add some other little designs, much as you would if you were cutting a fancy snowflake. That's going to give you this open look on here. And we'll do that in a minute. First thing I'm going to do is tie it so that I have it in more control. So I'm going to take this string. This is fairly long because I'd like to be able to hang this from a little bit longer string. So I'm going to wrap it around twice and tie it. I want the knot to be toward the back, but because sometimes on the slippery paper, it's easy to have the string slip around, I'm going to knot it wherever it'll let me knot it, and then I should be able to just gently move that string around to get the knot to the back. So I do want this fairly tight, and I can just move this to get the knot to the back. There we go. All right, now I have more control over this. The string is staying right on that fold part, and I want to do a little bit more decorative work. So I'm actually going to use a hole punch. This is a standard size hole punch, and I'm only going to punch a half a hole. And I want to punch always in kind of the same place. So I'm going to have to go on this. Let's see if we can do this. So I've cut half a hole. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. About 3/4 of an inch in. And the same thing underneath. There we go, that lines up nicely. Now I think I also want to do a triangle cut. That'll be more of a diamond when it's open, and I'm making this fairly large because I have quite a large star in depth. And I also want to eyeball, that's about an inch, so I'm going to do the same thing on this side. They might not line up exactly perfectly, but your eye will line them up once it's made into a star, especially if it's hanging high above. All right, so let's open it up. This is a surprise, just like it is when you cut snowflakes. See how it looks. Ooh, that will be pretty. All right, so we're going to open this up and bend down on both sides. Keep that fold in mind there. Now we need to attach these two sides together. And I'm going to do that with a little bit of craft glue, but this glue is also, of course, remember this is on a sticky, slippery sort of paper, metallic paper. I can put glue in here, and the glue will hold it. You'll see a little bit of a seam, if you will, where that is. You could also, if you want to, just tape it. And I would then line up the edges, line up the corners very well, and tape on one side and moving it over to the other side like this. I'm going to tape in the center. The trick, of course, is getting it really tight on there, which sometimes is difficult to do. Okay, now it's harder to see where that was, right? I'm going to take the string and also tape that right along my tape on there to hold that string in place. So we can't see it, but this is always tricky. There we go. Now the string will come off the end. I'm going to take the other side. You could glue it. depending on the paper. Some paper takes glue better than others. A little more. There we go. Beautifully done and ready to hang. I'm going to put a knot in this string. Perfect and ready to hang. Isn't that pretty and so, so easy? I hope you have fun making your very own. Thanks for coming along with me on this project.